G'day legends and g'day superstars, it's Peps and I'm here for Tipped Outs. Round 22 tips for a massive week of AFL football. Sorry for the late notice, plenty of things have been going on, but you know it is all kicking off tonight at the MCG. Two massive heavyweights of the AFL. We are talking about Geelong. We are talking about Collingwood. And this is going to be a game for the ages. It's going to be chocker, blocker, full of awesomeness, and we can't wait to watch this one. Big ins for Collingwood, Frampton and Hoskin allied in. Shannon Neal playing a game for the Geelong Cats this week, and I'm simply going with Collingwood to take this one out. They have been on a bit of a slump the last couple of weeks. Understandable. But Geelong, no Tom Hawkins, no Blitzards. They are massive losses for them. You've also got to take into account, when you have a look at over the course of the year, Collingwood have won 47 of their quarters. Geelong have only won 42. So Collingwood won a lot more contested ball also throughout the year as well too. I just think on the size of the MCG, their percentage is a lot more than the Cats, almost 10% more. And I'm just simply going with Collingwood because I think I can trust them a little bit. Jeremy Cameron hasn't been his greatest, and I think with those two, without Hawkins, is going to make it a little bit difficult for the Pies. Nick Dacos, let's be honest, is going to be a massive loss for them. But I do think Collingwood will be able to take this win out. And I reckon they'll do it probably by no more than 2 or 3 goals. But this could be the 50-50 game for the weekend. All right, we kick into Saturday afternoon, August 12th, 2023. We got the Kangaroos versus the Bombers of Eston. 17th versus 12th tomorrow, 1:45 p.m. at Marvel Stadium. I'm not going to go into this one big time because we know that Ben Cunnington is in. He's going to be retiring at the end of the year. Love everything that he's been served up. So good luck outside of football, Ben. You have been an absolute stalwart for North Melbourne and a stalwart for a footballer as well too. Plenty to be proud of. George Wardlow also comes in as well, which is awesome. Will Snelling in for Essendon. You know what? Don't be surprised if North win this one because Essendon have been pretty much poo for most of the season. They've only won half their quarters. Yet, if you have a look at North, they've only won 25% of their quarters throughout the entire year, which is a shocking result. Essendon should win this, but North weren't too bad against the D's last week in the first quarter. Yes, they were beaten by a superior team, but North really did show something to get 5 goals up on one of the premiership favourites for the year. Essendon, look, they've still got a slim chance of making finals. I don't think that they will, but they should win this one. And they should win this one quite comfortably. You'd say 6 goals. But stranger things have happened with 3 weeks of footy to go. Will Essendon have checked out? Will North wanting to get a win? It's been, 17, 18 weeks without a win. They want to get one before the end of the year. They're not going to be able to go up the ladder. They're not going to be able to go down the ladder. So why not have a crack? So I am picking Essendon, but it could be the shock value of a massive loss to Essendon. And wouldn't that be funny after they just scraped across the line against West Coast the week before? 1:45 p.m. Same time, but this one at the SCG, the Sydney Swans versus the Gold Coast Suns. And what's interesting about this one is that the Gold Coast Suns have a pretty good record against Sydney in Sydney. Sam Day and Tuke Miller are in. Matt Roberts is in, but Ben King is out. Take that for what you will. Swans have been playing some really, really good football so far this year, which is awesome to see. They've won 41 of their quarters throughout the year. Gold Coast have won 39. So there's not much in that at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with an upset here. I think the Gold Coast Suns with Werrell Lynn add just that extra bit of toughness. Ben King being out does leave a little bit of a hole down forward, but you got to remember, Gold Coast are playing some really good football without Ben King playing. So I think that they're a massive chance to take this one out. They've got a really strong forward line, a really strong back line. Their midfield is exemplary, and I just really like Lukosius up front. Taking into account, Amadi has been magnificent and Hayward have been fantastic for the Swans as well too. But I am going with Gold Coast in an upset by no more than a goal for that particular game. So strap yourselves in for that one there, ladies and gentlemen. Well, 4:35 p.m. We're starting to get into the Rip Snorter games for the weekend. We're talking about the Brisbane Lions versus the Adelaide Crows at the Jabba the Hutt, 4:35 our time here in Melbourne. Oscar McInerney is in. Luke Pedlar also in for Adelaide. Adelaide, when they're up and firing, they are a really dangerous team. I just think, though, at the Brisbane Jabba the Hutt, House of the Lion, the Lion's Den, as you would like to say, I just think that the Brisbane Lions are going to be way too strong. And when you have a look, they've won the second most quarters for the year, 48 out of a total 80 for the season. when you put that against Adelaide, who are sitting on 43, it is going to be really difficult for them to come back from that. So I really like what Brisbane are doing. They are a little bit unpredictable outside of Melbourne, but geez, when they play at Brisbane, they play hard, and they're going to be really hard to beat there. So I'm going by Brisbane by around about 4 goals, but don't be surprised, my friends, if Adelaide throw a complete spanner in the works and take this one home. All right, we're finishing off with arguably the game of the weekend. We're talking about the 7:30 p.m., push to 7:35 if the Matildas go into overtime. Carlton Blues versus the Melbourne Demons, 5th versus 2nd at the MCG, the home of football, the House of Stoush, the greatest stadium in the world. And will it be buzzing with over 70,000 Melbourne and Carlton supporters there banging home their Ds? The D's are on top of the ladder when it comes to quarters one, 52 out of 80 for the year. Carlton sitting at 41 out of 80 as well too. So Melbourne have won almost 3 games more in quarters for the entire year. That saying, though, Carlton have been sensational. Their last 7 weeks have been massively awesome. But you've got to remember the time before that, I think it might have been a 6-week stretch or a 7-week stretch, was massively putrid as well too. So there are the yings and the yangs. They have got a couple of out. Chera's not going to be there. Walsh is not going to be there, but their midfield has been humming. They've been doing, their role players have been really serviceable, and you know Charlie Curnow is going to definitely step up. The D's bring in Grundy. The D's bring in Clayton Oliver for his first game in 12 weeks, which is going to be just at the right time to get him buzzing. I'm going with my boys, the D's. I just think they're going to be a little bit deeper in the midfield. Viney, Brayshaw, Sparrow, Petrarca if he needs to go there, Cozzy if he needs to go there. I've spoken about Viney as well. He is an absolute beast. And I think May and Lever, and we'll be able to curtail Charlie Curnow down back as well. So I'm going with the D's, but this is going to be a game. I think Melbourne might have 3-4 goals at the most. But Carlton, if they scalp another one, they've already beaten Port. They've already beaten Collingwood. If they take out the D's, watch it, ladies and gentlemen, because Lygon Street will be getting absolutely feral. It usually happens only once every 4 years, but it could get absolutely cocoa bananas if they take this one out and really push towards some September action, and they could be really dangerous when the likes of McKay comes back as well. Alrighty, the last game for the weekend is the derby. We all wish Dale Kickett was in here throwing some haymakers with Phil Reid, but it isn't going to happen. It is the West Coast Eagles versus the Fremantle Dockers, 18th versus 15th. So watch the main game, the D's versus the Blues, and if you get bored with that, you can always slot it onto the Optus Stadium. Could the Eagles cause an upset here? No chance. When you've won 18 out of 80 quarters, up against a team that has won 33, virtually double what you have, Fremantle will be massively, massively putrid for the entire year. They're going to be giving up a massive first rounder to the D's this year, but I think Fremantle are just going to be too strong against West Coast. Couple of goals in this one at the most. Fremantle, they're not standing for anything, and they've been falling for everyone this year. West Coast have been, okay the last couple of weeks, totally stunk it up in the last minute and a half last week. Could have had a cracking win, but they're after Harley Reid. They didn't want to get it in front of North, and so they're not going to win another game for the year. So Fremantle have got this one practically by default. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's head into the Sunday. Let's head into the Sunday games, as we mentioned. Down there at UTAS, the UTAS Saints is going to be the Hawks versus the Doggies, 16th versus 6th. Hey, they say that the Doggies are going to be the danger game if they get everything back into play this year. And you know what? With Carl Amon coming in for the Hawks, Alex Keith coming in for the Dogs, it just adds a little bit more solidity down back, or solidarity down back. Sorry about that, listeners. Solidarity down back, having Keith, having Jones there. The Doggies are priming for something as well too. Bont in career, you would say career best form. He has been absolutely sensational this year. And if he gets in front of Dacos in the next week or so, he will take out the Brownlow. No doubt about it. So Doggies to win this one. They're going to put a statement. They've still got a chance to make top 4. I don't think they will. I think the top 4 is pretty much locked in. But, geez, they are going to be very, very dangerous. They have won a flag from outside of the top 4 previously back in 2016. And there's no reason why they can't do this one as well too. So I'm going the Doggies, maybe by about 4 or 5 goals, but it could be a lot more than that if they decide to, the real Bulldogs decide to step up and turn up to this game. All right, Saints versus the Tigers, 3:20 p.m. at Marvell Stadium. Saints were pretty good for half and then completely fell away against Carlton. They showed what you need to do to beat Carlton down at their own game and how to nullify Charlie Curnow, and it worked, but I just think the strength of numbers for Carlton took over that, and it was a really sort of disappointing end. Richmond, what can you say about Richmond? Are they in a transition phase? Cochin's retired, so we know that he's going to be obviously finishing up at the end of the year. Is there much left into the tank? Are their kids going to be able to stand up? Have they got good kids? It's sort of too hard to tell. And this one's at Marvel, so you've got to go with the Saints, all right? They're pretty much 3/4 difference of what they've won over the course of the year as well. So with that in tow, I'm going with St Kilda. And I'm ranking they're going to do this by about 5 or 6 goals, to be honest. The St Kilda need to make a statement, and this is the game to be able to do it as well. You got Seb Ross and Tim Embry coming in. Dusty comes in. Grimes comes in. Dow comes in for Richmond. So there are some good ins for both teams. But who needs this win more? It's got to be for the Saints. Not just to make finals. If they've got any sniff of making top 4, which, like I said, I think is pretty much locked in, these are the games that they have to win to prove that they are the real deal. And finishing off the weekend, we are talking about Port Adelaide versus GWS. 4th versus 8th. Finally, Port Adelaide gets some luck when it comes to injuries. Alialia's in, Finlayson's in, Farrell's in, Lockie Jones is in, Miles Bergman is in as well, which is absolutely awesome to see. Faye and McMillan come in for GWS. Toby Bedford out with the suspension, which is he's had a pretty good season for GWS. Oh, look, Port Adelaide should win this one. But if you remember a couple of years ago, back in 2021, they should have won. They literally thought that they were going to walk through to a grand final, and the Doggies upset them when they shouldn't have been. It was theirs for the taking. And I think this week is a game where it's theirs for the taking as well. I think they're going to get beaten. I think I'm going to go with GWS with this one in a massive upset. Like, no one is going to see this one coming. But do you think about it? GWS, they did lose last week. We get that. But before that, they've been playing some really good football. Hard quality football. Their back line has been brilliant, and their forward line have been kicking the score. Now, Port Adelaide, 4 losses in a row, potentially a 5th. They're not playing great football. The pressure is going to be building on them, and the Giants are going to go out there saying, we can have a massive crack at this. So I am going with GWS by a point against Port Adelaide in Port Adelaide to round out round 22 of the AFL. All right, so before we wrap up, a couple of things. If you haven't subscribed to the Lace Out AFL podcast YouTube page, get on there. Make yourself a subscription. Ring the bell. It doesn't cost you anything. You'll be able to see me and J-Dog live every single week. More importantly, you'll be able to catch up with the little bits and pieces that we're rolling out, some shorts and all that good stuff that you like to see. And also make sure to tune in on the Monday night, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on our Facebook page to see J-Dog and I reviewing the massive round 22 of AFL football. So there you go. I'm Peps. Hope your team wins. And that's tipped out because it's how you want your footy tips. Take care, superstars.